Welcome to SI Now. It is Tuesday, May 2nd, and I'm Maggie Gray. Joining me today, radio personality, hip-hop savant, Robin Lundberg is here. Thanks for joining us, Robin.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
That's the first time I've been introed in exactly that fashion, I think.
I read it off your Twitter bio. All right, we live in a hot take culture, but we are here today to separate the hot takes from the smart takes. Now, our producer, Ben, is getting some airtime today. He's going to give us the hot take. We're going to decide if it's also the smart take. Hey, Ben, how you doing this morning?
What up, guys? Hopefully we can be as hot as the Rockets were from three-point line last night. And let's start there.
I don't know, that bar set a little bit high. Can we go a little lower?
Sure.
Okay.
2 NBA playoff games last night, neither particularly close. The Rockets absolutely smashed the Spurs by 27. Here's the hot take.
Yeah.
None of that matters. Game ones in the playoffs, they mean nothing.
Yeah, that is also the smart take, in my opinion. You look back, Robin, let's just take the semifinals of the playoffs forward to the finals, and we'll just take the last 3 years. Out of all those 21 possible series, in 10 of them, the losing team won game one. Sometimes in really amazing fashion, like last year when the Spurs beat the Thunder by 32 in game one and then went on to lose that series. To me, the series are all about the long, tone setting. And so if I lose, even if I lose very badly in game one, I think it means absolutely nothing. It's just the appetizer, if you will. By dessert, we don't even remember that we had the tuna tartare.
Well, just because they don't mean everything doesn't mean they don't mean anything. And sometimes the appetizer is the best part. The appetizer sampler platter.
I'm a dessert.
Who doesn't go for that? But, like game one, you mentioned 10 of 21 lost game one and won. Well, that's less than half.
By a shade.
Yeah, but the team that won game one won more often than the team that didn't. And you only have to win 4 times. I can't do the math in my head, but 1 out of 4 is a pretty big percentage.
It is a big percentage. I understand what you're saying, but I think that in the NBA, I really do believe in momentum in the NBA. Even though if you lose game one, I think it's so easy to get yourself back on track, like we just saw with the Bulls and the Celtics in this first round series. You have a key injury that happens, and all of a sudden the entire complexity of the series changes. That's why I never put too much stock in that first game. Teams are still feeling each other out a little bit.
So who would you pick after the game ones?
In this series now?
Both the 2 series that happened last night.
Man,
You're going to pick the game one winner. You're going to pick the game one winner.
This time I'm going to pick the Cavs. I'm going to pick the Cavs to win the finals if they get all the way there, which I think they're going to. This one I'm going to pick the Rockets for a different reason, though. Matchups. They just look like they are at every single position. The matchup favors the Houston Rockets and, of course, the pace.
All right, let's stay there. The Rockets, they got 20 points from James Harden and 106 from everybody else. The Spurs, meanwhile, 21 from Kawhi Leonard, only 78 from the rest of the guys. Here's your hot take. The Rockets have a better supporting cast than the Spurs.
I think that's also a smart take. Look, the Spurs have been isolating Kawhi Leonard a ton, which shows you the trust that Popovich has in him, but also shows you the lack of versatility on that Spurs roster. I've been saying all year their guards are too old, and once they meet a team that could spread them out, they'd be vanquished. And you're seeing that right now. The Rockets are a really well-designed team because Harden needs the ball at all times. D'Antoni's offense calls for a player to have the ball at all times, but they put skilled players around him who don't need it, and that makes them very dangerous.
It does, and I think this is more about, like you said, the aging Spurs and sort of what they don't have and who's not delivering as opposed to how good the Rockets looked in game one. LaMarcus Aldridge is a minus 36 in game one. I mean, Ginobili is doing the same Ginobili Euro step things, but just not having that same effectiveness. Patty Mills, every once in a while change of pace sort of guy, but I'm not seeing that second unit, except for Pau Gasol. I'm not seeing anyone on that second unit who's really a difference maker. On the flip side, though, the Rockets, they have Eric Gordon coming off the bench, Lou Williams coming off the bench. Nene, in his 15 seasons in the NBA, 10 of them he's made to the postseason. I mean, he's a winner, right?
Listen to some of those names you mentioned, too. I mean, to use the parlance of our times, they're washed. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge and Manu Ginobili and Pau Gasol, they could be playing in that Ice Cube 3-on-3 league by next year.
They'd be dominating that Ice Cube 3-on-3 league. No disrespect to the Killer Bees or whatever they're calling themselves. I don't know.
Let's talk LeBron for a minute.
Okay.
He's been to 6 straight finals. Here's the hot take. This year, LeBron has the easiest path to the finals that he's ever had.
I don't like this. I do not think this is a smart take. I think a year ago when they swept the Pistons, when they also swept the Hawks, I mean, this time, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the Celtics and the Wizards, even though they're going to beat each other up in this series, I think they're going to be a formidable opponent for the Cavaliers. Absolutely. Both well coached, obviously. And if John Wall can stay healthy, I think he's the most dangerous person in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference not wearing a Cavaliers uniform. So I don't know if this is going to be the easiest path. I think a year ago things were easy. We just forgot they were so easy because Kevin Love went down early and we had questions about chemistry. This year, I think the Cavaliers are going to get pushed.
There may not be that one team like before with the Pacers or the Bulls, but the depth is stronger. And really all this is a way to try and diminish what LeBron's doing. I mean, he must feel like
Robin, not me.
He must feel like Jay-Z in Heart of the City. Jigga held you down 6 summers. Damn. I mean, 6 straight years to the NBA Finals. Last time that happened, Bill Russell was in that group. You're talking about before expansion, before free agency. So even if the path is easy, no one has taken the path that many times except for people commuting from Hoboken to the city.
Yeah, literally the PATH train. Yeah, that's a shout out to all of our New York watchers. Hey, everyone in New Jersey. You know, I just think that it's no disrespect to LeBron. It's not. It's really just giving a little more respect to some of the foes in the Eastern Conference for the very first time. And I think, you know, listen, the Celtics have the #1 seed. Okay, we'll see what happens. Isaiah Thomas, so dangerous. But I just think that everyone else has sort of grown up. There was a while, Robin, where I thought everyone was just sort of waiting out LeBron James in the Eastern Conference, didn't want to make big moves that cost a lot of money. They were just going to wait to see if LeBron ever took a step backwards and then they were going to pounce. That's not true. I mean, what Washington has been able to do, Boston, listen, Toronto took them to 6 games last year. I just don't see them having that same kind of cohesiveness that they did a year ago. The Raptors, I mean.
All right, we're switching over to the NFL draft. Still lots to talk about there. 3 teams traded up to grab QBs in round 1. The Bears traded up for Mitchell Trubisky, the Chiefs for Patrick Mahomes, and the Texans, of course, for Deshaun Watson. Here's your hot take on this. Trading up to draft a QB in round 1 is never worth the gamble.
I don't think that's a smart take. I mean, look, it's like the first round thing we talked about, game 1s. Just because it doesn't work out sometimes doesn't mean it can't work out. And really what this is, it's more a commentary on how quarterback is a finite resource. There are not 32 good quarterbacks in the NFL. And in fact, the NFL could be looking at a QB scarcity going forward when the stars go away. We've already seen Peyton Manning. What happens when Tom Brady goes away? So on and so forth. Cam Newton can't play the way he plays for too long. That's the real issue, is there aren't guys who can do that. So trading up, if you get the right guy, everyone would be celebrating. They'd be throwing a party wherever they're at. But if you're the Browns or the Jets, you've been searching for a quarterback since before man landed on the moon.
Well, listen, I'm going to say it depends on the price. So I know people have been killing this Trubisky trade. I actually didn't hate it because you didn't have to part with a #1 pick. Now, do I think that perhaps some of the other teams overpaid for these quarterbacks? Possibly. Giving up ones in the next round in 2018, rather next year, that could be a steep price. But ever since they put in the rookie salary cap, I think it's never a bad idea to trade up, down, back, left, up, center. It doesn't matter because it's not like a team can hold you hostage like Sam Bradford did for $50 million before he ever takes a snap.
And no one would say this if Russell Wilson or Dak Prescott or somebody like that had been drafted in the first round. It just so happens they were steals where they were drafted, and to your point, their salary very advantageous for their team.
Yeah, for a long time. I mean, especially for the Seahawks. I mean, that's one of the reasons they were able to pay a lot of those defensive guys. So I would not say don't ever trade into the first round, because if you feel like your guy is there, you got to go and take him. And now it's with less of a penalty financially.
So the Bears take Mitchell Trubisky too.
Yeah.
He's not going to start this year, or at least that's what they're saying.
Oh, I think he might.
At least that's what GM Ryan Pace is saying. Supposedly, Mike Glennon signed for a cool $50 million over the summer. He's going to, or a couple months ago, he's going to be the starter. And yet he also went to the NFL draft party. Here's the hot take. It was just terribly mean of the Bears to send Mike Glennon to the draft party to watch Trubisky get taken too.
You know, one of my favorite lines, it's not show friends, it's show business. I'm sorry for Mike Glennon. It's not a game of friends, it's a business. And even if you have been invested in by the team, that's the reward. The money's the reward. The starting and the glory that you get on the football field, that's the bonus, if you will. So he's already been rewarded with the money. So let's start there. Nothing is guaranteed in the NFL. Nothing's guaranteed in life. So for him to think that he was somehow that they were taking shots at him by inviting him to the party, even though they were gonna trade up and grab a quarterback, to me, Mike Glennon, you got to put the big boy pants on, you got to attend the party, put a smile on your face, and you just got to eat the humble pie.
I'm sorry, who's Mike Glennon again? You guys mind if I take my phone out and Google this one? You know, like, you have to be of a certain level to get upset publicly. I understand you're going to be privately upset, but to be upset publicly, you can't be Mike Glennon. You can't even be Sam Bradford. I'm wondering what the line is. Is it like Andy Dalton, the Andy Dalton line of demarcation?
Dalton would get killed if he got publicly upset by anything that the Bengals did. And you notice that the Bengals have made some very dicey moves, and Dalton stays absolutely quiet about it. That's interesting, though. What's the fame demarcation line for when you can get upset? I don't know. I think it's higher than Dalton. I think it's got to be like, even when Aaron Rodgers said RELAX, people were like, what?
Well, it was
Who
definitely
is this
Tony
guy?
Romo, right? Because people were all upset
Romo.
for Tony Romo. So it was right around there, right outside of Tony Romo. You got to be quiet.
So you basically have to have the most high-profile position in sports, Dallas Cowboys quarterback, to be able to get upset publicly.
Or be overwhelmingly great. No one would get mad at.
Although people get mad at LeBron when he complains.
People just want to get mad at LeBron.
All right, we're talking football.
People
Keep
want to
going.
get mad at everybody, though. They take shots at Brady, Manning.
Right now, I'm mad at you. I'm mad at both of you, just because.
Well, let's
I just
go
got
hard.
here.
Maybe
Please
it's
come
you.
back, Robin. Despite the fact I'm mad at you. Okay, go ahead, Ben. What's
Let's
next?
move over to hardball for a second.
Okay.
Yankees rookie Aaron Judge. He's leading the American League in homers. He's got 10 and runs scored with 23. Here's what manager Joe Girardi had to say about him on Monday night. Here's the quote. He's a little bit like Derek to me, speaking of one Derek Jeter.
Yeah, we've heard of him.
He has a smile all the time and loves to play the game. You always think he's going to do the right thing on the field and off the field. You look at it and he has a presence about him. He plays the game to win all the time, and that is the most important thing. So, clear hot take there. Aaron Judge is the next Derek Jeter.
Well, that is a hot take and a dumb take. I thought that's what Joe Girardi said. When providing the context here, that's a very nuanced and smart take from Joe Girardi. He did not say that Aaron Judge is the next Derek Jeter. He says that Aaron Judge has the qualities to become the next Derek Jeter. And that's a great thing for Yankees fans to hear, especially with his production. He's not the captain yet, but at least he has some captain-like tendencies.
I feel like, isn't everyone trying to be the next Derek Jeter? I mean, if you're just talking about the way that he acts in interviews and things like that, I mean, everyone's been copying Jeter ever since Jeter became the most famous player in baseball. So this kind of praise, I think, is a smart take. I mean, I think everyone wants the next big Yankees thing, and they believe that he could be it, although it was Gary Sanchez a year ago, so maybe this is just the rebirth of a new Yankees dynasty, and at least that's what they're hoping. I didn't see this as such a hot take. I really didn't. I mean, he's not saying, hey, we expect him to go out there and lead us to a World Series as a Yankee or as a rookie. I mean, he's basically just saying the guy acts like Jeter. He smiles a lot. I mean, it's Matt Holliday was the one who said he's like an otherworldly talent, most talented person I've ever played with, something like that. That's a hotter take, I think, than what Girardi said.
Yeah, if they were starting to, like, erase him from Monument Park or something like that and write Judge over top of it, we'd be a little concerned. But this seemed to be properly measured.
It's like, here, Aaron, here's your number 2 jersey. We have it for you. Rest it.
That other guy, he's with the Marlins now.
Yeah.
Got a final one for you.
Yep.
Going from something fun to a little more serious.
Okay.
So the Orioles' Adam Jones said he faced racist taunts at Fenway Park Monday night. He says it's not the first time it's happened. One of the culprits was kicked out of the stadium, but Jones said it wasn't enough. Jones suggested fines of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for anyone who spews any type of racist hatred at the ballpark. So the hot take there is that fans should pay, literally, for racism.
Yeah, I don't see this. I mean, I know where Jones is coming from because that's how athletes get fined. They get fined, they get hit in the wallet. I don't know if you can do that to an average citizen. What I think you can do is I think that you can ban them not only from Fenway Park, I think you can ban them from every park in Major League Baseball. And I think if a city like Boston wants to say, you know what, you can't come to Red Sox games anymore, and you can't come to Celtics games anymore, and you can't come to Patriots games anymore, that's where you could really send a message here. In terms of a financial hit, I don't know if that apples to apples like an athlete would get fined and financially as opposed to a fan. I don't know if that fits. I understand where the sentiment's coming from. But I think that if you are talking about bans and lifetime bans, that is something that hopefully would get the message through these people who are just absolutely spewing this hate needlessly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dicey situation because I can't really be on board for financially penalizing citizens and individuals for speech, right? But I'm with Adam Jones in sentiment, like you mentioned. I would be fine with these guys being publicly shamed because I get a little uncomfortable sometimes where calling out racism somehow is worse than the actual racism to certain people. I wouldn't mind these guys on the Jumbotron with racist written across it. You know, that I'd be cool with, but you can't be fining people for speech.
No, I think you eject him. I think this is really sort of a sad commentary. I know that people in the Boston area feel like this is unfair, that their city has been unfairly painted, you know, going back to the days of the civil rights movement. But when headlines like this come up, I think it'd be nice if all the teams from Boston banded together and just said, we are not going to tolerate this in any one of our stadiums.
There it is.
Our hot takes and our smart takes.
Yeah.
Ending on that
Hopefully you
one.
guys were smarter than I was hot, and I think you guys nailed it.
We'll leave that to the Facebook Live viewers. All right, thanks, Ben. Really appreciate it. You nailed it, buddy. All right, 14-year-old TJ Owannabe had one wish: to announce the Ravens' 2017 first-round pick. Thanks to the Make-A-Wish Foundation and the NFL, TJ, who was diagnosed with brain cancer in 2015 and is now in remission, well, his opportunity came on Thursday. Sports Illustrated followed TJ the entire day, all the way to his big moment. No shocker here. He absolutely crushed it. Take a look.
With the 16th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select blah 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 plus blah 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 for blah blah blah.
Okay, DJ, come on.
Well, I'm here in Philadelphia to announce the Ravens' first round pick, which was my wish. My mom saw me squinting at my homework. She brought me to an eye doctor. The eye doctor sent me to an MRI. An MRI said I had a tumor in my head. I wasn't thinking cancer tumor. I was thinking, okay. My doctors had told me that I am in remission, which means I can play football and I get to say I'm in remission.
TJ, what's up, bud?
Hello.
Dennis Pitta. How you doing,
Hello.
man? Good to meet you.
Good
You
to
get
meet
to
you.
announce the pick tonight?
Yeah.
You excited?
Yeah.
Do you know who we're picking yet?
No.
It's good to meet
Whoa,
you, man.
for
Where
the
you
first
from?
time in a long time, you're watching me on TV instead
I'm
of
gonna watch
the
you
other
on
way.
TV tonight.
You're more famous than Roger Goodell.
Feels really cool to know that I'll be like the first person after the team to know the pick. I am very, very, and like a million more of those very excited for the actual NFL draft.
Ready?
TJ, Roger, how are you? Meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
You all ready?
Yeah.
You'll be great.
I am very, very, a million more berries nervous for the draft to come.
What are you most nervous about?
Well, it's like my tie being out of place, me saying with the 17th pick, and maybe of 2016, and then saying the wrong name, and then maybe fainting afterwards. You know.
You want to say it now?
With the 17th,
16th. That's all right. That's all right.
with the 16th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select blah blah blah, blah 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 from blah blah blah.
All right. See, let me have a hug.
I'm proud of it. Thanks.
Okay, DJ, come on, buddy. You want to look out? Will it make you feel more comfortable if you see it first? Huh? You just sort of can peek around the corner a little bit. That way you get a feel for it. And then that's all. Okay, buddy. You ready? Let's go do it. I got him, Dad. You're not doing it, buddy. Don't worry.
I know.
With the 16th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Marlon Humphrey, defensive back from Alabama.
I kept on saying, oh my gosh, and they started cheering my name. I'm like, okay. I'm glad I haven't fainted yet, so that's good. So this is the cards that I read for who the Ravens' first round draft would be, and Roger Goodell signed it.
I think you should keep it as a keepsake, right? Okay, and I expect to see you back here in 8 years, okay?
This is the best that could have happened. I'm TJ, I'm 14 years old, and I beat brain cancer.
Robin, we already know the biggest takeaways from the NFL draft. Trubisky goes to Chicago. John Lynch and the 49ers nailed it. The Cleveland Browns, well, their picks actually made sense.
That's amazing.
It's incredible.
Kevin Costner running the draft? Or what was going on there?
Only in their dreams. But what about the under-the-radar storylines that we should be talking about that got lost in the noise? Albert Breer and Andrew Brandt are here from the MMQB to educate us, guys, on what we're missing. Albert, we'll start with you. What's the one storyline we are not talking about that we should be?
Well, I hate to give draft grades because I don't know how good these players are going to be in the aftermath. I'm not an evaluator. But what I do like to look at is who's taking advantage of the board. And clearly, the top position in this draft was in the secondary. The corners, the safeties, there were a ton of them. 29 of them went on the first 2 days of the draft. That was 7 more than over the same period in 2016. So who took advantage of that? I see 3 teams that took advantage of that, got immediate help at those positions. 1, the Green Bay Packers, Kevin King and Josh Jones. 2, the Oakland Raiders. They get Obi, and I'm going to try not to butcher his name here, Melifonwu from UConn and Gary and Connolly from Ohio State. And then the new general manager in Indianapolis pulls that lever with Malik Hooker and Quincy Wilson. So you see 3 teams there. 3 teams that should contend for playoff spots in 2017, taking advantage of the deepest, best position groups in this year's draft.
Now, Andrew, we know you've worked a little bit behind the scenes in a different capacity, dealing as an agent as well. What was your big under-the-radar takeaway?
Well, it's interesting, Robin, because I was there. I live outside Philadelphia, as you know, and I was there all 3 days. The last day, taking my son and nephew. That is true love, to sit through 8 hours of that. It was hard enough in the war room to sit through the third day of the draft. But listen, I just think the talent character issue is still there. It's always talent is going to rule, greater talent, greater tolerance. What do we hear with Joe Mixon, with Brantley, with Chad Kelly, with all of these players having character issues, red flags coming into the draft? What we hear is we've done our due diligence. We're giving them a second chance. And it's all rationalization. Again, you know, the comment by John Keim last year, or the Arizona general manager, if Hannibal Lecter ran a 4.3, we'd call it an eating disorder. He probably regretted saying that, but it's all there. I mean, every draft, it hasn't changed. And I say this all the time. The league can do all it wants with its stepped-up policies, with its conduct priorities, with barring players like Joe Mixon from the combine. But at the end of the day, teams are going to do what they do. And character counts to some extent, but you talk about all these teams that getting their steals because of low character later in the draft. You know, Aaron Hernandez, 4th round, with all the legacy of that, you know, it really hasn't changed. It's going to stay. And again, we're in a league of talent. Talent rules.
You know, Andrew, I'm wondering if maybe the teams themselves would discipline their own players as opposed to leaving it up to the league every time there's an issue that arises, if perhaps things may change a little bit. My biggest takeaway, and Andrew, I'd like to get your thoughts on this, Albert, yours as well, is the situation with the quarterbacks in Minnesota. We get the news that Teddy Bridgewater's contract is not going to be optioned here, the 5th year. So now they're going to roll the dice with Sam Bradford. They signed Case Keenum as a backup. They did not draft a quarterback. So I'm just curious now, Andrew, if I'm Sam Bradford, am I holding the Vikings hostage for a contract extension, considering we know that Bridgewater's not going to be ready for the season, and he's really holding all the cards here?
Sam Bradford is the clear winner in the business of football, maybe more than any player in the history of football.
Great point.
He has
Matt
leverage,
Flynn.
and he did this with Philadelphia. Obviously, he did it with St. Louis as the last bonus baby, where he got that $50 million guaranteed. And here he is again. Listen, it's extremely unfortunate what happened to Teddy Bridgewater. It has sent ripples through the league. The Eagles getting a number 1 happens to be the draft in Philadelphia. They didn't even set the draft in Philadelphia when the Eagles had a number 1 pick. But I saw the buzz here last week, and part of that was because of Teddy Bridgewater. Yes, the ripple effect of the Eagles now having a pick and all the energy that went into it. And there's ripples effect with Sam Bradford, again, having this leverage once again. We're seeing kind of a deja vu with Mike Glennon and Mitchell Trubisky, but I don't think the Bears are going to be able to get a number 1 pick for Mike Glennon down the road. So it is fascinating how Sam Bradford continues to find himself in these leverage situations.
Well, and Andrew, you know what's really interesting about it is the acquisition of Sam Bradford in the first place put pressure on everyone in that building. I mean, I talked to Rick Spielman in the immediate aftermath, and that was the ultimate win-now move, where you go right before the beginning of the season and you flip a first-round pick for a player because you believe your roster's in a position to win a Super Bowl in that particular year. Spielman looked at his roster, said so many of our best players are 25, 26, 27 years old. We have to go all in now. And that's left everybody in that building in a spot now where they're under pressure because they sent that message not just to their fan base, but also to their ownership. We believe that we need to act with urgency right now. And I think for everybody in that building now, it means their jobs are on the line in 2017. They have to win now. And, you know, as for Bridgewater, I mean, obviously it's a horrible situation. And the 2 words that really stick out here, guys, nerve damage. You know, there are lots of injuries that aren't what they used to be. You know, guys come back from ACLs quicker. Guys come back from Achilles. That used to be one of the worst. That used to be almost a death sentence for a football player. So advances in medicine have made it so a lot of injuries aren't what they once were. But those 2 words are dirty words, nerve damage. And so that's put Sam Bradford in a position where, you know, like Andrew said, you know, there's a lot riding on him and his play, and he's got leverage with the team now. And if you look at where the team is, you know, they're very much in this win now spot, and there's pressure on everybody in the building to deliver.
Now, Albert, I liked what the Dolphins did in the draft. You know, you're not going to compete with the Patriots at quarterback, so they went with the defense. They got an edge rusher with the first pick. They got corners later, and they got a sure tackling linebacker named Raekwon in the middle round, right? So that's going to work out for him. Yeah, before the show, Maggie and I were joking an over-under on how many members of the Wu-Tang Clan you guys could name. I would have had it at
Come on, Andrew. You know a couple, right?
Guys, how scary is it that
Don't count on me.
after someone in the Wu-Tang Clan, and that person is now old enough to be a professional athlete?
If you've been to any of their shows lately, Albert, it's actually not that unbelievable.
Enter the 36 chambers, enter the 36 to 45 demo is what you're entering.
Their kids are now up on stage.
I agree with you guys, though. I mean, I think the Dolphins did well. They let the board come to them, and that was a theme early in the draft. You know, this was seen to be one of the best defensive drafts in a generation. Very deep with edge rushers, very deep with corners, very deep with safeties. And you saw the way the board fell. The 8 of the first 12 picks in that type of draft were offensive players. And what that meant was it was right there for teams in the teens and the early 20s to take advantage of the board and draft defensive players who in a lot of cases had top 10 grades. So you see Malik Hooker go to the Colts at 15. You see Jonathan Allen go to the Redskins at 17. And I think the Dolphins did a nice job of taking advantage of that. Charles Harris, if things had fallen a little differently in the top 10, very well could have gone in the top 15 and was seen by a lot of teams as the second best pass rusher in this year's draft behind Myles Garrett. So certainly you look at what Mike Tannenbaum and Chris Greer and Adam Gase did here, it looks like they filled a premium position with a guy who's very, very talented and took advantage of the board falling a certain way on Thursday night.
Yeah, just following up AFC East as well, I admire actually the Jets for not picking a quarterback, because at some point they got to let these young guys have a chance. They've got McCown as the placeholder. They had Fitzpatrick as the placeholder last year. And it's time to just see. I mean, they keep drafting young quarterbacks. Everyone says it's great to draft quarterbacks every year. Well, not if they don't play, not if they're just sitting there on the pine. So they didn't need another young guy to try to prove himself behind McCown. So they have 2. let them duke it out.
Yeah,
And guys, if you want to spin this forward real quick, the Jets, the Browns, the Niners all sort of punt on this year's quarterback class, right? I think part of this is looking forward to next year's quarterback group where you're going to have Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, and also potentially Kirk Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo available as free agents.
They'll probably be punting a lot during the year as well.
But Albert Breer and Andrew Brandt from the MMQB, appreciate your perspective, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Maggie. Thanks, Rob.
Now, before we let you go, we have to let you know about one of the greatest curses in sports history maybe being over. Billy Goat be darned. We may have broken it, as reports are that Tristan Thompson and Khloe Kardashian, though I heard she was at the game, may have broken up. Knowing Tristan, Maggie, he'll definitely rebound. But the internet has already proclaimed this a good thing for the Cavaliers. We got a bunch of tweets about what took place. Tweet number 1, Tristan Thompson breaks up with Khloe Kardashian. Cavs by 1,000 tonight.
That's probably one of my favorite ones. If Tristan Thompson broke up with Khloe Kardashian, the Cavs are going to repeat.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be a theme here. The Cavs are winning the ship in tweet number 3. There's no way they lose now. Tristan just broke the Kardashian curse.
All right. You know, here's the thing, right? I understand that maybe she's been bad for some other basketball players in the past. This one, Cavs back to full strength now as Tristan broke up with Khloe, haha. I understand that, and maybe, you know, Rashad McCants, I don't think it was just Khloe that was the reason why he is now out of the league. I mean, Reggie Bush, I know his career went down after Kim. It's not just a basketball thing, but the fact that I think that
Reggie Bush lost a Heisman and a Kardashian at the same time.
Oh, burn. Talk about
trophies.
washed, right? I understand the Kardashian curse. I don't think it's real, although, I mean, Lamar Odom, he had issues. It wasn't just Khloe, but I have to believe that LeBron James, I was thinking about it last night watching that game. I'm like, they haven't put the camera on Khloe once. I'm like, I wonder if LeBron said something to Tristan like, listen, we have enough on our plates. Don't bring the Kardashians into
I
this.
don't want to believe it, but like, how many pieces of evidence do we have here? I mean, and Khloe, from watching that show when I saw it in the past, she seemed to be the coolest one. No, I can't take it now. Now it sounds like this to me. Like back and forth over and over again. That's probably what it sounds like to the rest of the Cavaliers.
You want to know what it really sounds like?
What's that?
Cha-ching.
Yes,
cha-ching,
it does. Yeah, Kris
laughing.
Jenner's laughing all the way to the bank. Sometimes I wonder if she's a Sith Lord somewhere, just counting all that cash.
Maybe the reason why people are so upset is because the Kardashians probably make more money than even people like Tristan Thompson, who's pulling in like 60 mil.
Dive into the gold coins like Scrooge McDuck at night.
All right, just backstroking through the money pit. Robin, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks a lot. We're going to see you tomorrow. That's going to do it for this Tuesday edition of SI Now. Of course, we'll be back at 10:30 a.m. Eastern with a fresh look at all the latest sports news on Wednesday. But until then, stick with SI.com and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at SI Now Live. See you tomorrow.